very good evening and warm welcome to very informative webinar on eye health and COVID-19. During the pandemic situation, classroom teaching shifted to virtual classroom. User of Netflix, Amazon and other entertainment channels has rapidly increased. Our smartphones are turning out to the biggest addiction that we have in today's time. According to a research by GSM Intelligence, there are 7.22 billion mobile devices with approximately 7.19 billion people. That means more mobile devices than people on earth. In between all this digital fuss, our eyes are suffering the most. Yes, our valuable vision gets affected as we strain our eyes all day long. And while facing masks and hand sanitizers are mandatory as a prevention measures against COVID-19, eye care specialists in India have stressed that as the virus can transmit through eyes too. Therefore, our three subject experts are here with us to share the knowledge that know that how to take care of our eyes. Dear participants, now I would like to invite our three subject experts to take the charge of this webinar. But before that, let me have pleasure to share a brief profile of them. We have with us Dr. Kuldeep Desai, Interior Segment Surgeon and co-founder of Spectrum Vision Laser Center, running two hospitals, Ashish Eye and Desai Eye Hospitals since 20 years. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Well.
We have with us Dr. Kaushal Bhavsar, Retinal Surgeon, first posterior segment surgeon to start practice in Surat, fellow of prestigious Sankara Netralaya, Chennai. Welcome, Dr. Kaushal.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's been a great pleasure to be all of with you here today.
Same here, sir. Thank you to be part of this webinar. And we have Dr. Niyati Desai, Anterior Segment Surgeon, Lines of Interest is cornea, numerous paper presentation. She has been working as a co-auditor on Health News Dainik Bhaskar and served as a president of Rotary Club in 2015-16. Fellow of Lakshmi Eye Institute under renowned surgeon Dr. Subhas Haldipurkar. Practicing since last 15 years. Now, I would like to request Dr. Niyati to take the charge of the webinar. Dr. Niyati, please.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to thank Oro University, the Dean, and especially Dr. Janvi for having invited us. I am thoroughly privileged. We all know that life is a dilemma right now. This pandemic has left us totally helpless. It has not only challenged our health crisis, but it is also like a socio-economic challenge right now. With the schools, colleges, and ongoing offices are closed down, we are all forced and encouraged to work from home. So what happens in this situation is that an average use of the computer in India has increased from 2 hours per day to about 8 hours per day. Now, globally, if you see, what happens is that in 2000, the green bar graph, which you can see over here, is the population, and the internet users were very, very minimal, less than 1 billion. But as we reach up to 2020, you can see that the red bar graph is almost 3/4 that of the population. So what happens here with this kind of visual device usage, I as an ophthalmologist have seen numerous parents coming to me and saying that my child is having a lot of problem. He's not able to look at the sun. There are droopy eyes. He's always feeling sleepy. So what is all this that is happening right now? All these varied symptoms, they come under one category, which is called as the computer vision syndrome. It's a general term which we use to describe a variety of vision-related symptoms, and that is aggravated by the regular use of the computer. Now, longer we use the computer, there is a decrease in the blink reflex. What is the blink reflex? Now, this is when we open and close our eyes, we blink. Blink is a very involuntary movement. It is not controlled by us. So normally we are blinking about 16 to 20 per minute. We are not aware of it. But when we are sitting on a computer, this blinking reflex reduces to 6 to 8 per minute. So what happens when this blink reflex reduces? Why blinking is so important? what happens is that when we blink, there is a tear gland which is situated on this part of the eye. That gushes out a fluid, which is the aqueous, into the eye, and it lubricates the eye. It gives moisture to the eye. And also this marble-like black part which you see, in medical terminology, it's cornea. It is devoid of blood supply. It doesn't have any blood supply. So where does it get its oxygen from? It gets from the atmosphere, and that is through the tear film. So if there's a reduction in the tear film, the entire process gets reduced, and our eyes become very, very dry and irritable. So why do we say computer and like white devices? There are people in this world who love to read books and read newspapers, but why do we say computer? Now the reason being when we are looking far away, our eye muscles are relaxed. But when we are looking at a computer, we are trying to focus. But what are we focusing at? A computer has images which are formed by pixels. Now these pixels which are placed onto the computer, they are not very well defined. In the center, they are very bright. In the periphery, they become less bright with less defined edges. And because of that, our eyes have to focus. And because of this extensive focusing, our eye muscles do not get much opportunity to move. We get a convergence fatigue, and this leads to eye strain and a computer vision syndrome. So as you can see in this picture, this is a magnified view of a printed letter. Okay, now when we are looking at this right now, it looks very clear and is not giving any eye strain. But look at the magnified view of the letter on a computer screen. This is a pixel, it's formed by a pixel, and when I'm looking at it right now, it gives me an eye strain. Okay, so now what are the symptoms? Now there are varied symptoms. Sometimes you might just have one or two, but they are persistent. That's why it's called as a computer vision syndrome. They last for a long time. We have eye fatigue, itchy eyes, dryness, blurred vision, sometimes diplopia, that is double vision, headaches, sometimes neck pain. So what are the causes of this computer vision? See, the main culprit is the computer or the likewise device. But apart from this, there are certain aggravating factors which also add on to this syndrome. As you can see in this picture, this man is sitting too close to the computer, straight looking ahead at the computer, or if you are relaxed and sitting a little bit far away in an irregular position, or you have the screening device just away and above you. So you're extending your neck, which is causing neck pain. And then you have somebody who is just sitting very close to the computer. The second thing is this glare of the screen. As you can see right now, the glare or reflections, the fuzzy images or the images that are too dim or too bright. As of right now also, if you look at this picture, you will get a eye strain. Also, a very important factor is that if you have a visual defect as in any kind of a refractive error, you are far-sighted, you are near-sighted, you are presbyopic, and you have not got yourself corrected. So what are you going to do if you want to see your image very clearly? You're going to put your computer or your screening device or your iPad in such a way that your eyes are able to see. And that causes extensive, exaggerated focusing and strain to the eyes. So how do you prevent this condition? How do you minimize? Obviously, you need to go for a thorough checkup to an ophthalmologist. But in this pandemic, if there are lockdown at places, or if you're scared to contract COVID, then what do you do? A very practical and a simple solution is to follow the rule of 20-20-20. This is a very, very practical solution for people who are computer users. What is this rule? What you need to do is, you need to gaze your eyes. You need to put your eyes far away. You need to gaze at a far away place, say through the window or at a tree. You don't need to focus on anything. You just need to put your gaze out so that the eye muscles are relaxed. After every 20 minutes of a computer use, for 20 seconds, you need to blink. Now, blinking means you don't need to flicker your eyes up and down all the time. What you need to do is you just need to close your eyes and you need to open your eyes. So with this 20-20 rule, what will happen is your muscles will get relaxed. At the same time, your eye will get lubricated. So you will be able to work for a longer time. This is a simple practical rule that you can actually apply. Obviously, there are certain things you can do at home, like direct the overhead lights away from your computer screens, position your monitor so that all the windows are to the side rather than to the back or the front, And you can adjust your window blind so that sunlight is away from the screen and your eyes. So that will help in preventing the additional glare. Also, a very important thing that you can do is you can adjust the height of your computer. Now, this is very important to understand that when you are looking straight at the computer, or when you are looking, if the computer level is above your head, what happens is this is the opening of the eye, which is called as a palpebral fissure. That is more exposed. Either if you're looking up or if you're looking straight, it's more exposed. So technically speaking, your eyes are going to get more dry. But if you have placed the computer level a little bit lower, your palpebral fissure goes a little bit narrow. So what happens is your eye is not completely exposed. And this, to a certain extent, helps in preventing the dryness. Obviously, you have to avoid air drafts. We all know that air conditioners, they are dehumidifiers. They suck the moisture from the air. So if you're placing your AC right in front of your eyes when you're looking at a screening device, obviously it's going to suck away all the fluid and the moisture from your eyes, leaving your eye very, very dry. So you need to place your air conditioners in such a way that they are not in front of your eye. And obviously, you need to take a break. If you are not able to follow the rule of 20-20, I would just say after every 30 minutes, you need to take a 5-minute break or just go make yourself a cup of coffee. Now, the treatment. This pandemic, people are refraining themselves from going to ophthalmologists or any doctor because they are scared of contracting the COVID. So what I would say is, suggest that you can approach your ophthalmologist through telemedicine. You can WhatsApp your discomfort, your symptoms to your ophthalmologist. You can send your picture to your ophthalmologist and they will prescribe you the required lubricating drops. Don't self-medicate because lubricating drops are very safe, but they come for different categories. For example, if it's mild, there is a different lubricating. Moderate, severe, there are different lubricating drops. So I suggest do not self-medicate. Approach your ophthalmologist who will be more than glad to assist you through telemedicine. Okay, if that is not possible and you have to go, then you must go for a routine eye checkup. And at the same time, you need to constantly use your glasses. It's very, very important that you get yourself your visual errors checked. So, computer vision syndrome is not a disease. It is something that is a millennial crisis. We all have to live with computers, and probably it's almost like the movie Terminator, the machine over man. So, we have to adjust with the new normal. We can save our eyes because our eyes are the window to the world and window to our body itself. So, stay safe, stay happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Niyati,
Yes.
for a wonderful presentation. Before starting second presentation, I would like to share a few things that we will share feedback link during third session, and all the participants are requested to fill the feedback form to get e-certificate. If any participants have any question or query, they can write in the comment box, and we'll try to entertain all this question raised by the participants. Thank you. Now, I would like to request Dr. Kuldeep. Please start your presentation. Dr. Kuldeep, please unmute yourself.
You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I did it. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Janvi, and good evening to all. Thank you very much to the Dean of the Oro University. I'm really overwhelmed to be here and giving me an opportunity to present my common disease, that is the allergic conjunctivitis. I'll start with my presentation now, and that is allergic conjunctivitis. Okay. Now, before going to the main topic, let me discuss the basic eye anatomy. This is the cut section of the eye. Here, can you see the red color? That is the conjunctiva. Actually, the normal people cannot see the conjunctiva because what we see in the eye is a white part, white and the black part. The black part is called cornea, and the white part, this is the white part, that is sclera. Just over that, there is a transparent tissue which is known as conjunctiva, which is totally transparent and very thin. Now, what is conjunctivitis? Conjunctivitis is basically a reddening of the conjunctiva, the inflammation. Now, here there are two different names again for the common people. It's a pink eye and the eye flu. Some people call it eye flu, but when it is mixed with the infection, it is called eye flu. Pink, all the conjunctivitis are pink basically. Now, here in this picture, if you see, there's a reddening on the white part. The white part is sclera, but the reddening has happened to the transparent tissue, which is conjunctiva. So it looks pink. So that is conjunctivitis. Now, what are the types of conjunctivitis? There are many, like bacterial, viral, irritant conjunctivitis, and allergic conjunctivitis. But the most common is the allergic conjunctivitis. Let's start with the bacterial first. Bacterial conjunctivitis is caused by many types of bacteria, and I'll not go into the detail because it's a microbiology subject. But the symptoms and signs are very typical. Like many people must have encountered bacterial conjunctivitis. In that, the lids get swollen, there's a pain and the redness. In the morning, if you get up, the eyes get stick together, there's a stickiness. In the morning, there will be a crusting. Usually, the first eye is affected, and since this is contagious, like you keep on touching your eyes, your other eye also will be affected, your other family members will also get affected because it spreads by touch. Here, you have to take care not to spread it further. So you have to take care of your personal hygiene. You will not touch your eyes. You'll keep washing your hands, and especially with the liquid soap. Now the viral conjunctivitis. Viral conjunctivitis is mainly caused by adenovirus. Again, there is a watering. There is a light intolerance. Why? Because in the black part of the cornea, the virus makes the white spots, which you can see in this picture. So that causes the spreading of the light. Because of that, there will be a hazy vision. Once this spots appears, it will take a lot of time to go away. So the viral conjunctivitis goes away, but it takes a lot of time to complete recovery. Again, it is harmful to the vision also, and it is contagious. So again, you have to keep on washing your hands and stay away from touching the eyes. Irritant conjunctivitis, is the name itself suggests, it is caused by many types of irritants like gases or chemicals. If you go into the chlorine swimming pool, but the lucky good thing is that it is not contagious and not harmful to the eyes, because once you just come out of the swimming pool or you shampoo, if you put, then sometimes it becomes red. That is normal. But as soon as you stop or wash your eyes, it will become normal again. Let's come to our main topic, allergic conjunctivitis. Allergic conjunctivitis is very common with all the ages. It can happen to any age people, but very much common in the children. Basically, it is the body's reaction to the various types of allergens. Like there are many allergens. This is the pollens from the flowers. This is the dust mite from the dust particles we find. When the children are playing with the pet dogs or pet animals, they contract the allergic conjunctivitis. Females are usually prone because they put more makeup, they do not remove the makeup. So these things causes more allergies. Now it is again common in hot and humid climates. Again, the seasonal also is there, like April to June. The summer season is very prone for the allergic conjunctivitis. Some people do have allergic conjunctivitis for throughout the year. That is called perennial conjunctivitis. Now, what are the symptoms again? There is a redness, but not something like bacterial conjunctivitis. There will be a watery discharge, severe itching, grittiness, as if something has fallen into the eye. If you keep on rubbing the eyes, the lids will get swollen and there will be a light intolerance. Especially the kids, when they come from the garden or school, they develop itching in the night because they are exposed to the environment which they are not resistant. They have not developed the resistance. So the child keeps on rubbing the eyes, especially at the night time, and they usually use their full hand. Even if you pull their hand, they'll keep on rubbing. But we have to stop them from rubbing. And the severe rubbing causes sometimes the small eye, like the lid becomes droopy. There's a thin discharge is there. The cornea, this brown part is the cornea. Around that there is a white part. Those are the dots of the allergic conjunctivitis. And the redness is because of the allergic conjunctivitis. This is very common and the parents get scared that what has happened to the kid. but it is basically a body's reaction. So sometimes it is also associated with the asthma. There's rashes on the other part of the body. Running rays, rhinitis is very common with the allergic conjunctivitis. And it is a very self-limiting. As soon as the summer goes away, or as soon as you keep washing your hands, it will become fine. It may reappear because you have not developed the resistance. Up to the age of 12-13, slowly the child develops the resistance. So after the 12-13 years of age, the allergic conjunctivitis incidences little go down. It may harm the cornea if you keep on rubbing the eyes. It may result in corneal ulceration also. Basically, you have to stay away from the allergens. Suppose you know that you have put a makeup particular brand, don't put that makeup. Remove the makeup before you go to sleep. Do not rub so much, because once you rub, there will be a chemical release which is called histamine. Now that histamine again causes more itching. So you will keep on rubbing. It's a vicious cycle. To stop that, you have to splash with cold water or put the ice sponges. If you have to travel in the environment in polluted area, wear a protective glasses. Whenever you come from outside, wash your hands and face. And in severe cases, you have to visit your doctor. You do not self-medicate. You just do not go to any counter or any chemist and buy any medication, because usually they give the steroids. Doctors may prescribe you lubricating eye drops to wash off your allergens, antihistamines, because it releases an histamine chemical. Doctors will give you antihistaminics. In very rare and very severe cases, you may need mild steroids, but again, don't self-medicate. Right now, as it is, there's a lockdown and lot of pandemic is going on. So I would suggest stay home, stay safe, and stay happy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kuldeep, for a very informative session. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Kaushal Bhavsar to take the charge of the session. Dr. Kaushal Bhavsar. Sir, please unmute yourself. Dr. Kaushal, please unmute yourself.
Unmute.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Janvi, and I'd like to thank our University Dean and all the students for inviting me, and I'm very happy to be part of this quite interactive meet. And basically, I'm a vitreoretinal surgeon. I do retinal surgery, but with the Niyati and Kuldeep, they insist me to speak on these two topics like eye care and COVID. So there's one thing on floaters of the eye. So I'll be speaking first on the COVID and eye. See, we are hearing this word COVID since almost 6 months, and whenever it comes in the mind, we need to panic. But I would consider we need to think one positive aspect of this pandemic is that there are lots of webinars going on now. Lots of internet teachings have been started. If this pandemic would not have been there, we would have not been able to connect with you people. So this is thing we need to take positively. So we are able to learn now online much more than physical presence. So now eye care and COVID. Now this is one very important thing. Now what we know is that the COVID infect eye through a respiratory system, through nose and mouth. So we'll be more focusing on the aspect of the mask. But let me tell you, the eye can also get infected. One can get infected through in the body, through respiratory system, through the eye also. So this we all know it's a global pandemic, and it's caused by the highly transmissible SARS. SARS is severe acute respiratory syndrome, COVID virus 2, that is 2019. And now there are lots of studies have shown that this COVID respiratory illness could be transmitted through your ocular secretions. And many of you might not aware, the ophthalmologist may be the first persons to frontline warriors to detect this COVID virus. And many have not heard that the Dr. Van Ling he was an ophthalmologist in the China who alarmed the Chinese government regarding the outbreak of this COVID-19 virus in the Wuhan city. But unfortunately, he could not survive. He left all of us. But he was the first person who alarmed the Chinese government that we are facing a pandemic. He was the ophthalmologist. So he was an ophthalmologist who first raise the pandemic issue to the Chinese government. So now, as I told you, how one can get infected through the eyes. If one touches the contaminated surface with a hand and then rub his or her eyes with the same hand, virus will be directly impacted on the mucous membrane of the eye. What the Kuldeep says is a conjunctiva. Conjunctiva is our mucous membrane. The virus will directly inoculate it and start replicating. And through this mucous membrane, it will enter the bloodstream and respiratory system and cause all the respiratory symptoms of the COVID-19 viruses. So, this one of the way of transmission. If you touch your eyes with contaminated hand directly to the eye or rub, then you will get infected. Another is the infected person sneeze and coughing also generate aerosol particles. These aerosol particles which can go into the eye, and virus may be impacted in the mucous membrane of the eye and start replicating. So if you come in contact with some of the person who is sneezing or coughing, or even his droplets coming out from the mouth, normal verbal communications also generate some micro droplets, and these micro droplets move in the air and they survive almost 3 to 5 hours, and they can directly come into the eye, and that through that also it causes eye symptoms as well as the respiratory symptoms also. So SARS-CoV, I'm not going detail, it is a standard beta coronavirus originally linked to outbreak in Wuhan. It has direct contact with mucous membrane including the eye, and it is one of the route of transmission, as I said. In human, 0.8% out of 1,000 patients have reported COVID congestions. And there are some other form of eye infection has been described, but that is called retinitis, vasculitis, and uveitis. That I'm not going in detail about this. Now, what are the common symptoms if one get infected through the eye? So one of the symptoms is that chemosis, like swelling of the eye, then watering, and then red eye. These are the 3 common symptoms which usually patient presents. But these are the symptoms can present in other viral conjunctivitis, or as I Kuldeep say, can be a part of an allergic conjunctivitis also, or some bacterial conjunctivitis. So any patients, any person who is suffering from swelling, watering, and red should not get panic and should not think about that it could be a COVID. You just need to consult your ophthalmologist and start the treatment. Now, how will you come to know that it's a coronavirus infection of the eye? So basically, ophthalmologist will ask you about the history of any contact person, in contact with any contact person, complete ophthalmic evaluations. They do examinations on the instrument like slit lamp examination, and then we take a swab. How you take the swab for the coronavirus from the nasopharynx and mouth? Similarly, you take a mucous membrane of the eye, swabs taken directly from the mucous membrane of the eye, and then you subject it to the PCR study, and there also you can get the viruses. So conjunctival swab examination will able to reveal whether the patient is suffering from coronavirus or not. As far as the treatment part of concern, the mainly focus, there are 2 things. One is the systemic treatment of the systemic coronavirus symptoms and the treatment, and local treatment of the viral infection is as other viral conjunctivitis or other virus infection. Like you give a artificial Trias lubricant will reduce the redness, it will reduce the redness and reduce the itching. It gives little kind of comfort in the eye. Then we advise cold compresses, that is also just to relieve the symptoms. And we prescribe mild steroid drops. These mild steroid drops reduce the pain, congestion and redness in the eye. And we prophylactic give antibiotic therapy to avoid a secondary infection. So as we all know that prevention is always better than the cure. So what are the things which one need to be aware that they should not get directly infection in the eye, or through infection they get in respiratory illness. So hand hygiene, that is the most important thing. You need to keep your washing your hands frequently and avoid touching your hands with the eye. So that is one thing, one habit one need to develop. Avoid touching your eyes. So that is one thing. Social distancing, as we already know, so I'm not going detail. As I said, avoid touching the eye, nose and mouth. In this pandemic, I would recommend it to avoid, even if you are infected or not infected, try to avoid, if possible, wearing all cosmetics, lenses and all such things. Wear protective gloves. This is very important thing I would like to see. Everybody is focusing on the wearing a mask, but your mucous eyes are directly exposed to the atmosphere. And if they are not protected, as I said earlier, you may get infection through your mucous membrane in the of the conjunctiva of the eye. So wear protective glass. So whenever you go outside or go for even grocery shopping, I would recommend to go for this. This is what I wear. I always wear this protective glove glass, when I moved out from there, this glass will cover not only from the front, from the side also. So even if I come in contact with any persons who may or may not be positive, we don't know. So, but I will not able to get those aerosols into the mind. So these are small aerosols which are less than 5 micron in the diameter. They survive in the atmosphere more than 3-4 hours. So suppose if you have gone to some grocery shop and there are a lot of people are moving around, you have already wore a proper mask, but your eyes are not protected. So through that aerosols, virus may enter through your conjunctiva and you may develop coronavirus symptoms.
Dr. Kaushal, could you please speak a little louder? Your voice is coming very low.
Now, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So whenever you go out, we always insist on wearing a mask, but I would also recommend to wear a proper glass, because if your eyes are not covered, you may be likely to directly emit the virus through aerosols. So I would definitely recommend the protective glass with mask, both the things. So this is it. Stay home, stay safe, and I would again like to thank Rahanvi and Aurora University Dean for inviting me for this beautiful webinar.
Thank you, Dr. Kaushal.
So
It was a very interesting and very informative session, and I hope that we got all the basic information to take care of our eyes during this pandemic situation. We have received many questions, so I would like to start. I would like to ask first question, which is asked by Mr. Saji. He is having this question that why do we see that some people's eyes look red soon after they take bath? So, Dr. Kaushal, you would like to give answer for the same?
Why eye becomes red after taking bath?
Yes.
See, there are two things. When you if you are taking a bath, suppose some soaps have gone inside the eye. So whenever there is some foreign substance goes into the eye, our body react, and that reaction is always kind of inflammatory reaction. So that produces some kind of mild conjunctival inflammatory reaction, and it is very common after bath. Sometimes mild detergent or mild soap particles while taking bath, while washing our face, can goes into the eye, and that kind of induce an allergic inflammatory reaction, and because of this thing, eye become red. I think it is a very normal phenomena, and if you are not having a pain or burning, then you should not worry. If you are burning, you just wash your eyes thoroughly with the water, and usually some soap's particle, if it's there in the conjunctival mucous membrane, it will come out. But this is a very natural thing, and one should not afraid of anything, and no need to be panic of anything.
I would like to request Dr. Niyati to take care of the second question. Dr. Niyati?
Yeah, sure. Okay, now there is a question by Sangeeta, and I would like Dr. Kuldeep to answer me this because it's related to the conjunctivitis that you presented. Why does mucus come out of my eye? Please unmute yourself, Dr. Kuldeep. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, because there is it's a mechanism. There is an inflammation, so it causes more discharge, and sometimes it is infected, so it causes more mucus. If it is allergic, then there will not be a discharge but there will be a watery discharge, but it will be thick and pure watery like in the allergic. But in the viral and in the bacterial, it will be mixed with the infection. So little bit of the pus will be there, so it causes more discharge.
Yeah, but is it normal? Like, I mean, having mucus in your eyes, is it normal?
Normally, sometimes even if we do not have any conjunctivitis, we still have, because suppose our eye blinks. So near the nose, there are two holes. So from there, the tears go into the nose and the mouth. So all the dust particles gets accumulated at the nose part. So when we get up in the morning, we feel that there is a discharge, but it is normal. But if it is sticky and it is mixed with the red eye, then it is conjunctivitis, and you have to be careful.
Okay, thank you. Now there's another question. There's another question asked by Monica, which is like, I'd like to answer this because it's related to computer vision. She says that sometimes her eye is tired and looks double word like phone number and word. And when we squeeze one time, it automatically we can see clear. So what to do? So Monica, actually you are having a little bit of a convergence fatigue, and at the same time your lubrication, your eye lubrication is not that good. So what you need to do is you need to take a break, as I told you. Go look somewhere far off, wash your eyes properly, blink some 2-3 times and come back to your work. But if this is very, very frequent, Monica, then I suggest that you get your eyes checked. Okay, there is another question which I think I would like Dr. Kaushal to answer this, as you have presented the COVID-19 with the eye. How do you differentiate normal eye conductivity? Well, I don't understand the word conductivity here.
Conjunctivitis.
Yes, conjunctivitis and COVID eye infection.
See, normal viral conjunctivitis, as I said, only way you can differentiate it by PCR study. You take a swab and you take subject it to the laboratory. Then where you can describe. But usually, any type of viral conjunctivitis, you start with the symptomatic treatment and look for whether you are developing any systemic illnesses or not. See, suppose in today's pandemic, if any patients come with the red and chemosis eye, so we don't directly think that it could be a COVID infection. See, it is very important to have a history, whether is a history of fever, cough, is there systemic illness is also there, how long he's having in the red eye. See, if he's having history of red eye since 2-3 days, so we just start with the lubricating and topical steroid drops, and then we again like to review and see whether the symptoms are subsided or not, whether he's developing fever or any systemic illness. So the symptoms of this COVID viral conjunctivitis may be similar to the other seasonal viral conjunctivitis. There is no way you can differentiate it. If you really want to differentiate, you need to differentiate it by the PCR study. But that usually we do after few days, once the symptoms if are not subsiding, or if we feeling that the patients are developing systemic symptoms also, then we advise patients go for the study.
In the initial stages, Dr.
Yeah, I would just like
go
to
ahead.
add in this, because initially when the lockdown started, we had a lot of cases of viral conjunctivitis, and people were scared also that they have got a COVID conjunctivitis, but not, because they are for your history, whether you are exposed to the environment. Second thing, do you have the symptoms other than the conjunctivitis, like respiratory symptoms, breathing problem? If yes, because in normal viral conjunctivitis, you will not have a breathing problem and other problems like COVID. But if you have COVID conjunctivitis, then your eyes will be also red. Your oxygen pressure, like SpO2 we measure, that also you have to check. And the breathlessness and everything, if it is associated, then what Dr. Kaushal said, that you go for the PCR test.
See, but in initial stage, the patient usually don't have a breathlessness. Initially, the patient may have only fever. Fever is one of the commonest presentation of this pandemic. The virus has literally mutated to our monsoon environment. So I think one of the most important thing, if patient has got a red eye and if it has a fever, then there is a possibility that you might catch up the COVID infection. Or suppose you are already diagnosed a case of COVID infection and you develop eye symptoms, then there is a possibility that you have a COVID eye congestion. So nothing need to be panicked. Just need to look for the history and what other symptoms you develop along the course of the illness, and that can be tried out. But
So the
ultimate
ultimate
symptoms are temporary and usually it subsides with the drops.
Okay, so the ultimate take-home message here is that you don't need to panic, and you need to go to your ophthalmologist, start with the basic treatment of a conjunctivitis, and then watch out for any systemic infections that you are getting, like respiratory infections or any type of fever, and then you go in for further tests. Okay, now there is a very simple basic question asked by Nitin Wagmare. And Dr. Kuldeep, I would like you to answer this. Can you suggest a diet for keeping eyes healthy? Everybody is worried over here right now because of the pandemic. People want their eyes to be just perfect. So can you give us some tips?
Right. Okay. We all know that we have been taught that vitamin A is very beneficial for the eye. Like vitamin A is full of, carrot is full of vitamin A. Then papaya is there. All green vegetables. But I would tell you that all the green vegetables, all the healthy diet is good for everything. Not why do you focus only for the eye? Vitamin A is definitely helpful. So you have to have more tomatoes, carrots, papaya. Then mangoes are full of vitamin A. You have to eat in the season also. Otherwise, spinach, and you should drink more water. All the healthy diet you should take. In fact, in these days, in this generation, people are going for the more junk food. I think that we should avoid, because that causes more diabetic and hypertension problems in future. That causes more damage to the eye. So avoid junk food and just have a healthy diet like vitamin A full of spinach, cabbage, or any green vegetables. Right? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Now there is another question. It's a very basic question, but I think it is a very important for particularly children. What is cylinder power?
Okay.
Dr. Kaushal, can you
Cylinder.
tell us what is cylinder power?
Kuldeep.
Anyone, Dr. Kuldeep or
Okay,
Dr. Kaushal, any one of you all, please.
Okay, there are three types of power basically. I mean, myopia, hypermetropia, and cylindrical power. Like in myopia, they'll have a minus number. In hypermetropia, the person will have a plus number. We have a concept that the plus number is only for the near, but no. You can have a plus number for the distance also. Now, spherical and the cylindrical. Spherical is a power and the cylindrical is also power. But in the spherical, you will have a little blurriness more. In the cylindrical power, you have a number, but still you have a good vision. If it is less number, then. But it is a cross number. So, the whatever image you see, you will see the shadow behind it. If you are not wearing glasses in the cylindrical power, you will see the shadows. As if suppose star plus is written, you will see a faint shadow written star plus. Or if you see the lights or something, it will be stretched. That is because of the cylindrical power. In that case, you will have a headache also. You will have a more watering. And even if you read little bit or you watch something, you will have a headache. But in simple spherical numbers, the headache will not be that common, but the vision will be little less. That is cylindrical. And you put the cylindrical power at particular axis. We have to rotate the glass to find the axis. If you can find the axis and put the power, the vision will get clear again.
Okay, and what happens if you don't get the cylinder corrected?
You'll have a headache. You'll have a watering. You'll see everything blurred. Suppose if you're not wearing and cylinder is little higher, then the face, if you see the person's face, the nose and face and everything will be mixed up. So even if the person is saying hi to you, you will not be able to recognize him. You will just pass through him. That is the commonest thing.
That is interesting. Okay, there's another question by Satyavan. Mr. Satyavan, I think I'll answer this question. What do we do after coming from the market to prevent infection? Well, Mr. Satyavan, you need to come home and have a bath. That is the primary thing you need to do. Maintain good hygiene. And at the same time, while coming from the market, you don't need to touch your eyes or your nose or your mouth. I'm sure you're wearing mask when you go out. So you just need to have a bath. That's it. There is one more question by Sakshi Parmar, which says that after, I'm not able to read it very well.
Should I?
Yeah, after the surgery, that one.
My vision is blurred and hazy, and sometimes the vision black out. Apart from taking a break, how to take care of the same? From Sakshi Parmar.
So I think Dr. Kuldeep, you can answer that.
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Sorry.
It's after surgery of cataract. She's having problems. She's after the cataract surgery, she is having blurred vision.
Okay, so there is a possibility that she must be having a little she needs to get eyes corrected, because we assume that once we get operated for the cataract surgery, we will see everything clearly. Yes, everything clearly, but some power you may need some power, especially for the near. But there are various lenses available during the cataract surgery. Some power is for the distance. Now the multifocal lenses have come. For that you can have both the numbers corrected. But you need to get it checked. There may be some inflammation also possibility.
And at the same time, she says that my eyes feel dry. So Sakshi, you need to consult your ophthalmologist and prescribe some lubricating drops along with
LASIK surgery.
No, she has, it's like after cataract surgery. Okay. She has written after cataract surgery. Sometimes, see, cataract surgery does not cause any kind of dryness. There might be some underlying problem. There might be refractive error, which you need to get it corrected. And at the same time, you need to visit your ophthalmologist for some lubricating drop. The most important thing that you need to observe after a cataract surgery is, are you seeing less than what you used to see? That is very, very important.
Right.
Are there any more questions?
And there is very interesting question by I think name is not mentioned, that participating in many webinars can affect the eyes.
Yes, definitely. Webinars, participating in many webinars, you are constantly in touch with your screening device. So obviously it is going to cause eye strain. But as I told you, if you follow the rule of 2020, you can carry on. See, Surat is a place of textile market and diamond. Computer vision is much later come out as compared to diamond merchants who are sitting continuously with the diamond for about 8 to 10 hours. If their problems are solved, this computer vision is a very easy thing. We just need to follow the rule of 2020. It's not an ocular emergency. It's just a syndrome which you can correct by yourself.
There is this question by Mr. Ambala, that what is the cylinder power?
That already answered.
I just
Yes.
answered right now, but I'll still tell.
Is not aware of.
Yeah, so cylindrical power is a type of cross numbers. And
Okay.
put it in the particular axis, then you'll be able to see. If you're not wearing cylindrical power, correct, then all the images will be little blurry, and you will see a haze behind the main image. So people sometimes call it a ghost image. That is cylindrical power.
Okay, and I would like to ask Dr. Kuldeep a very important question that you talked about seasonal conjunctivitis,
Right.
and I want to know is it related to the immune response of the body?
Yes, of course.
Okay,
Because when the
so
child is born, they have not developed those antigens because they are not exposed to the allergens. Slowly, they develop. They come to in contact with the allergens, so their body develops that antibodies
okay,
to fight
so have
against the
you?
allergens.
So could you suggest to the audience some immunity builders that can help?
Immunity builders like normal vegetable, normal healthy diet is very important. Keep washing your hands. And immunity builders does not mean that you have to go and like in Corona, we are especially hearing that herd immunity. But that herd immunity does not help in this allergic conjunctivitis. We have to develop our own immunity, and slowly with the age, we develop that immunity. So we do not get so much frequency of that allergic conjunctivitis. But we have to
Okay.
have a proper
See,
food.
Niyati, I just want to add one thing.
Yes, sure.
Whatever allergic conjunctivitis issue which we see more in a younger generation, when the
Right.
elderly and middle-aged people, right?
Right.
Many patients we see with the children's and especially young people coming with the allergic things. So in a younger generations, our T cell mediated immune response, there is a
Right.
immune system which recognize our body is that is T cells. The T cells mediated immune response are very high in younger age. With the time, with the age increases, the immune response decreases. So major of this allergic conjunctiva issue, with the time, it usually resolves itself. So I think
That's
that is
right.
nothing much. If you have eye symptoms, you take care locally for a short period of time, and then you stop the drops. With the time, this usually resolve.
Yeah, but the
That's
parents
There
complain
are
also that we have to keep on putting the drops. Yes, you have to keep on putting the drops because it keeps on coming also. So if you expect that you put the drops and the allergic conjunctivitis go away forever, no, not like that. Whenever you come into the contact with the allergens, you'll develop the allergic conjunctivitis up to certain age. Then after that,
Basically-
the Dr. Kaushal said it will get cured.
So basically, we have to recognize, the parents have to recognize the
Yes.
allergens.
Right,
It
right.
could be anything.
Absolutely.
Okay. Dr. Kaushal, I would like to ask you a very burning question right now in this COVID era, that everybody is, even the students, in order to prevent. Have you come to know of any HCQ findings in the eye? I mean, any kind of systemic problems that would occur with HCQ? Dr. Kaushal?
Kaushal, there is a question for you.
Yeah, Kaushal,
Dr. Kaushal, unmute yourself.
unmute yourself, Dr. Kaushal.
actually, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What is the
Yes.
question?
Yeah, the question is that right now there is a burning issue, which is like everybody is being prescribed HCQ, hydroxychloroquine, for the prevention
Hmm.
of COVID
Hmm.
or treating
Hmm.
early asymptomatic patients.
Hmm.
What
Hmm.
do you think HCQ? I mean, I'm sure you know hydroxychloroquine and the side effects. What are the basic repercussions in the eye with an HCQ?
See, if your HCQs are known to cause ophthalmic toxicity also, but what the doses which has been prescribed for the treating the patients of COVID patients and prophylaxis. So the idea behind the HCQ is that whenever you have a COVID infection, your lung complications. See, the main problem in the COVID infection is that patients involve lung involvement, that there will be a pneumonia. Patients develop pneumonia. Pneumonia causes breathing issue. Your oxygen level goes down. So this coronavirus bind with the ACE2 receptors in the lung, and this will cause invade into the lung tissue and reduce a lot of leakage and develop pneumonia, and that's why patients become breathless. So what has been told, this HCQ has some role in preventing or minimizing the side effect or minimizing the virus-induced lung damage. And that has been observed in India. In India, majority in India, according to the ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, they found that they have given HCQ prophylaxis to all the health workers. Those who are health workers, doctors working dealing with the COVID patients, as well as nursing staff, as well as the class 4 staff. They have given HCQs prophylaxis, and they have found that even if they get infected with the coronavirus, they develop minimal symptoms. So they don't develop a lung condition.
So you mean to say that this is less prophylaxis? I mean, doesn't affect the eye.
HCQ role has been reported. HCQ definitely has reported a role in Indian doctors. Indian doctors have noticed that HCQ has definitely. Now coming to the a day, more than 1 year, then patients can develop a ophthalmic or retinal toxicity. And whatever the dose which we are being prescribed as a prophylaxis or is in a treatment of coronavirus, the doses are very minimal, and the treatment is given for a very short period of time. So, but there is a HCQ side effect on the heart, that it will there are different kind of waves. If you take a heart cardiogram, so it is delayed the QT interval. So whenever you give a patient HCQ, you need to take pre-ECG and post-ECG to look for the QT interval delay. And if this is normal, you can carry on with the HCQ. So one immediate side effect, that is the heart side effect that you need to look for, and long-term side effects, that is ophthalmic side effect, that is a retinal side effect. But these long-term side effects are likely to be very less, because we are not giving a dose in a very high quantity, and we are not giving in a very long period of time. So long-term side effect is, I would consider, less. I think very minimal. Even in the COVID era, we have not seen any report where the patients have been given HCQ and they come up with the ophthalmic side effect. That is not been reported in the literature.
So that means the very minimalistic doses are being given. Very minimalistic.
Minimalistic doses are given, which are less likely to give very major ophthalmic side effect.
Okay. Thank you. Now there's one more question by Anugraha Tejasvi. She's asking, Dr. Kuldeep, would you like to answer? Is there any exercise for maintaining our eyes?
Okay, now our eyes are 24, except when we are sleeping. Our eyes are throughout the time exercising. Like we have been told that suppose we move our eyes round. No, nothing like that. Eyes are throughout the day doing those exercises, except for those who are occupied with this near work for more. Like suppose computer is there, there's a diamond workers. They are doing the continuously the smaller or the minute work and the for near longer time. For that, like what Dr. Niyati said, that you have to have a 20-20-20 rule. Like take a break, try to look the farthest to get the eyes muscle relaxed. Put the rub your hands and put it on the eyes just for the relaxation. Otherwise, you do not need any particular exercises. But in the small children, when they have a lazy eye, that time to develop the vision up to the age of 1 to 10, you need to, if you recognize that there is a person has a lazy eye, yes, you can give the exercises, convergence exercises, those are called. That time it is helpful. Otherwise, in adults, we do not need, just follow the 20-20-20 rule. That is the best exercise. And try to avoid, very honestly, try to avoid watching closer works like mobile, and especially when you switch off the light and midnight also keep on doing the mobile work. That is not good. You need to, at least if you want to do, keep the room light little on. It should not be completely dark.
Okay. Yes, that is interesting. Now there is one more question. There is a John Akriyo Swami. He has asked this question. Kindly explain the 20-20-20 rule. Mr. John, it's a very simple thing. You just, after every 20 minutes, you just take a 20-second break. That is not much to ask for. And don't try to focus onto your screening device. Try to look somewhere far off. The hypothetical 20 which is put in the first place is just telling you to look 20 feet, which is technically impossible. So you just need to gaze somewhere far away, and for after every 20 minutes for 20 seconds. There is any other question, Janvi, which you can...
There is one more question. That computer glasses are good.
Sorry?
To wear computer glasses is a good option.
Yes. Now see, computer glasses, if you're working in an office and you don't have an accessibility, or you don't have any kind of adjusting your way, like you have the air conditioner right in front of you, the glare of the screen, you don't have a screen covering your laptop because it's an office laptop, then yeah, well, computer glasses will help you to a certain extent. But if you are working from home, and if you are working in your area with your office, with your computer, your screening device, then it's one and the same. Whether you wear or not doesn't make a difference. But yes, if you are working in your office, you don't have any other option, and if you're getting an eye discomfort, then you definitely need to wear.
There is one more question from Nitin. Many children have become obsessed in this 4 months. Next time, please keep a webinar on the topic of obesity also. So it is not related to our topic, but there is one more question from Dharti. That Sirshana, I think that it is some Ayurvedic medicine. It is good for the eyes health.
I would like to answer
Yeah, I'd
this
like
question.
to. Yeah.
First of all, as you said, it's an Ayurvedic medicine. So we are allopathic surgeons. We do not know about the Ayurvedic, but they claim, yes, that there is a Ayurvedic content which helps. And yes, Ayurveda has proved that. But you should be sure that it is really that. Then second thing, like we are giving lubricating drops. So probably it is something like that gives you the relaxation to the eyes. So yes, if you are comfortable, but certain Ayurvedic products do have some side effects, like Netra Prabha is there, that causes some amount of cataract, early cataract, and sometimes it develops the glaucoma also. Eye pressure is also goes high. So before, if you are known to the drug, then use it, otherwise use it.
Yes, I would suggest that anything which is an FDA approved,
Right.
anything that has gone through stringent testing needs to be applied. Anything which is not stringent testing, I don't think that it has not been animal testing. You do not need to put it into your eye, because eye is very precious. I have seen a lot of cases where patient has developed cataract, patient has developed glaucoma with Netra Prabha. Gulab Jal, for example. I mean, rose is considered to be very, very good for the eye, but you need to go into the FDA part of it. I mean, you need to understand that there has to be some certification behind.
Many times these drugs sometimes contain low dose of steroids. So once you
Right.
put it, you feel very good. But this long term, this steroids drops harm to your eyes, like doing cataract and increasing the eye pressure, what Dr. Kuldeep and Niyati say.
Right.
So we don't know what is it contain. Like in any allopathic medicine, there is a content written. You know what is intent. So we are not aware what is written. So it is very difficult to comment. Only thing we can suggest that if it content is steroid, then it will be harmful to your eyes.
That's right. That's right.
We'll take one or two last questions.
Yes.
There's a question from Kishore Sharma. Is migraine related to eye deficiency? During the migraine attacks, my left eye is pains.
So, Dr.
Yes.
Kuldeep, would you like to answer that?
Yes. migraine has an effect on the eye, but not a harmful effect. But there's something called aura. Like when there is an aura, it is typically associated with the typical migraine. You see the flickering of the lights, you see the blurring of the vision, and then you develop the headache. That is migraine. And the migraine is basically your lifestyle. It's not something disease. In simple words, I will put, it's allergic to the brain. Because of something, your brain gets allergic, and that causes headache. That is called migraine. So for that, you should avoid caffeine products like chocolate, cheese, coffee. If you can avoid that, then have more water, because in the migraine, your blood vessels get little constricted, and your heart pumps the same amount of blood. So it causes throbbing headache, as if somebody is hammering to your head. So that is migraine. But just have a proper sleep, don't get stressed, have more water, and relax. And do some meditation. If you've got a frequent headaches, have some medication. Some retinal problems, if is there, then Dr. Kaushal will add.
See,
Yeah, and I would like to add.
I would like to add one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kaushal, go ahead.
One more thing. See, migraine is like contracting in the vessels of your occipital of your head, eyes vessels, or your brain vessels. There is a contracting and spasm of the retinal vessels, which is causing kind of headache and aura phenomena. So basically, you need to kind of relaxation, and what Tulip says is a changing your lifestyle. If you are not getting proper sleep, if you are under stress, these are the most. There are certain food which can precipitate the headache. So sometimes bright light, sometimes sunlight, which are all can precipitate. You need to leave. If you are constantly going through the headache part, you need to look for which are the aggravating factor. When my eye pain or headache getting aggravated, sometimes working too much on the computer with bright screen, that can also precipitate the attack of migraine. I have got a lot of young kids working on the computer coming with the constant complaint of headache on and off. So many a time decrease in the brightness and contrast of your computer screen, which also decrease the stimulate your brain receptors and reduce the kind of headache and migraine symptoms. So one need to really look for what are the symptoms and when they are getting aggravated. You need to literally look for what it precipitate your symptoms and need to focus, because whatever the treatment you take the migraine, this will relieve your symptoms. It will not remove your disease from you. So you need to literally look for those factors, sleep and etc., and then need to control all this.
Yes, and there is one more very important factor, that migraine is genetic.
Right.
So if you have like a genetic factor, like if your parents or any grandparents have had migraine, even if you have a very good lifestyle, you are going to get it.
And again, that is okay. Finish.
Yeah, so that is number one. Number two is that the person who asked the question said that he has a left eye pain. This pain is a referred pain. It's a referred pain which usually happens when your entire brain goes into spasm. There are referral pains, like you can get pain in the eye, you can get pain in your tooth, you can get pain in your neck. These are referred pains that happen. You don't need to worry about all these things. You need to just remove the precipitating factor at that moment. If you're sitting somewhere, you have eaten something by which you have got this, you need to sit somewhere in a dark place, drink 2-3 glasses of warm water and close your eyes. Or if it persists, you go to your doctor and take a medication. But it is a genetic factor. Sometimes you do get it.
One of the important factors is we see in female during their menstruation cycle.
Right.
Yes.
They may develop this kind of migraine symptoms it is very typically seen between 20 to 40 years of female patients with migraine. So
Yes.
females have, I think, more tendency, especially middle-aged female, early and young females, they are more likely to develop this migraine attack.
Yes, Dr. Janvi?
Yes, there is wait. This is last question for this webinar. I feel very heaviness in eyes and itching when it's cloudy weather.
Sorry, what is the question?
Can I repeat?
Yes.
Yes, repeat the question.
Yeah. This question is from Sangeeta. I feel very heaviness in eyes and itching when it's cloudy weather.
When it's a cloudy weather.
It causes little dryness also. Windy weather causes little dryness. so your eyes become little heavy. Basically, our pollution has caused more damage to our eyes, and our habits and our mobile and TV. We are into that era. Plus our pollution and atmosphere that causes more dryness of the eyes and causes heaviness of the eye. On top of that, you don't have a proper sleep. We are supposed to have at least 7 to 8 hours a day sleep. But some people are now, suppose you are college going students, then your sleep will be automatically reduced. If you are exam going, your sleep will be reduced. So you have to take a proper rest. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
When
In
we are-
cloudy. Yeah.
See,
Go
when,
ahead,
when
Kaushal.
we have a cloudy weather, there is a tremendous increase in the humidity in the atmosphere.
Yes.
And this increase in the humidity causes a lot of dryness in the eye, and this dryness causes itching. So basically, you need to put little bit lubricant drops, and you see whether you release the symptoms or not. Many a times we may have seen kind of allergic response with this kind of weather also. Some of the children, and they may have develop aggravation of this dryness and itching when they get a cloudy weather. So if it doesn't relieve with the lubricant, you can start low dose steroid by examining the ophthalmologist. And I think it's kind of seasonal response, right? Dryness as well as sometimes allergic.
Yeah, you need to just wash your eyes properly. If you can't go to an ophthalmologist, just wash your eyes. Try to do some tepid sponging and avoid rubbing your eyes, because definitely humidity causes an ocular surface disorder. Like you have small opening or lids which close down for a moment, and because of that the eye is not cleaned properly. So this is what is happening to her is probably this. So she just needs to wash her eyes, do a little bit of tepid sponging, and that's it. Nothing to worry.
That's great. I think this time we have kept presentation part less and communication part more, like 40-60 ratio, and we got many questions, and I hope that all the participants have received proper answer of their questions. And now I'm moving forward for lot of things. So I would like to ask if any one of you would like to share anything before we end for this session. Dr. Niyati, Dr. Kuldeep, Dr. Kaushal, anything would like to add?
No, I think I'm fine.
Done.
Yeah, fine.
So on behalf of our university, I, Janvi Chaporia, present vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to thank our speaker, Dr. Niyati, Dr. Kuldeep, and Dr. Kaushal, for sharing essential information to take care of our eyes during this pandemic situation. I also thank to our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Rajan Relukar, our Dean Academics, Dr. Rohit Singh, our Registrar, Sir, Dr. Ajay Kumar Yadav, for their unconditional support to organize this webinar. I also extend my gratitude to all the participants for attending this webinar. And last but not the least, I would like to thank our IT team, Mr. Manish, for their support to organize this webinar without any interruption. So thank you once again all the participants. We have shared feedback link in Zoom as well as on Facebook page. If you have any query, you can contact us. And thank you once again all the panelists to be with us sharing the wonderful information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thanks a lot. Thanks,
Thank you.
Janvi.